The FBI is looking into whether foreign governments, organizations, or individuals helped fund the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. Among other leads, agents are investigating a $500,000 Bitcoin payment. It was apparently made by a French national to key figures and groups in the alt-right before the attack. On top of that, federal and D.C. area police agencies have noticed that since the riot, Russian, Iranian, and Chinese influence actors have, quote, seized the opportunity to amplify narratives in furtherance of their policy interests amid the presidential transition, unquote. Joining us now is NBC national security correspondent Ken Dilanian. He broke the story this evening. Ken, tell us more about this FBI investigation. It sounds like, and I'm breaking this all the way down, I know I'm way oversimplifying this, but it sounds like there may be foreign money behind the attack on the Capitol, at least in part, to further much larger aims than just what these insurrectionists may have wanted, that this has become a geopolitical matter. Is that overstating it, or is that kind of it?
No, I think that's certainly what the FBI is investigating. First of all, they're looking at this $500,000 in Bitcoin transfers that appear to have been made by a French computer programmer who seems to have committed suicide, and this was like his last act. And while that may have seemed like it could be potentially a front for a foreign intelligence operation, people have looked at that and say, no, in fact, I think that really was a French computer programmer, but that's a lot of money that went to some significant alt-right figures on December 8th, so a few weeks before the protest. But it's larger than that, because the FBI, look, there's a long history of the Russian government making common cause with far-right and far-left extremists in the United States. And the FBI is looking to see whether there was any of that here, Russia or even other adversaries, whether there was any recruitment of these people, whether there was any funding. Because, look, looking at what the Russian government and the Chinese government are doing now on social media, they are trying to seize this episode and use it to their advantage and try to denigrate the United States and feed their narratives. And so the FBI is looking at whether they had anything to do with sort of motivating people. Look, it's clear this was a domestic movement, mostly a United States phenomenon, but there may have been foreign influences, and if there were, that might be a crime, Joshua.
In your reporting, you note how white supremacist movements in the West and the Russian government have long been believed to have this kind of affinity between them. Elaborate on that.
Yeah, there are, the FBI has seen evidence for years, I am told, of attempts by Russian intelligence officers to infiltrate these groups, to be in their chat rooms, to recruit them. Some have even gone, some Americans and Westerners have gone to Ukraine for some kinds of training. And so there's a, there's a symbiosis here. And we even saw the Russians seeking to infiltrate the National Rifle Association, not a white supremacist group, but a right-wing Republican-oriented group. And so the question is, and some of that is not illegal, but if the Russians funded people who are intending on an insurrection and breaking the law, there are a lot of potential criminal charges. And also, it's a counterintelligence issue. And that's why the FBI's counterintelligence division is part of this investigation, Joshua.
Let me put a few viewer questions to you, one having to do with the security situation here in the district. There are red zones and green zones that have been set up around the Capitol and the National Mall to kind of delineate where people can and cannot go in and out. You can see there on the screen kind of the area around the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Capitol up to the White House. There's a security barrier blocks and blocks away from that. Carolyn asked on Twitter, do you think the fences, walls, and barriers are going to stay up in D.C. permanently? So sad for our capital city. Ken?
I don't think so, Joshua. These barriers are designed to address a mass gathering of people and a potential mass demonstration. They are not needed to protect the Capitol on a day-to-day basis. We may see more fencing, more security based on what happened January 6th, which should never happen again, the infiltration of the U.S. Capitol. But what we're seeing now is about as militarized as Washington, D.C. has been, some people say, since the Civil War. Not even during World War II or after 9/11 were there this many armed troops and barriers and vehicles and streets blocked off. So that's not really sustainable, and I don't think we're going to see that going forward.
Yeah, living in D.C., you get used to seeing various kinds of security presences, including for the inauguration, but not like this. One more quick question from Twitter. A viewer asked, why have we not heard a peep from the DNI, from the Director of National Intelligence? Wouldn't he be involved in protecting our Capitol from a terrorist attack? Where is DNI Ratcliffe? Ken, before we go?
I think that's a fair question. Ratcliffe issued a press release welcoming Space Force into the intelligence community, but he hasn't said a word about these riots. And while, if you talk to people over there, they would say, look, we're mainly a foreign intelligence operation, foreign facing. The DNI includes the FBI and the National Counterterrorism Center, which grapples with these issues of domestic terrorism. There was clearly a potential intelligence failure here, and the Director of National Intelligence has not said one word about this, Joshua.
NBC National Security Correspondent Ken Dilanian, we appreciate the reporting. Thanks very much.